Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Our second series of the day is coming right up. But before we load onto the Rift, let's take a moment to unveil the newest banner to the Battle Arena and recognize our Spring Split champions. Ladies and gentlemen, TSM! All right, Bjergsen, so I want to ask you one question. You guys had a very successful Spring Split, but now TSM is back to that same dominant roster from last season. What are your expectations for TSM this summer?
I think it's obvious that we're going to do even better, and we're going to take the first place even more convincingly this time.
It was 17-1 last time in the regular season. How do you feel about 18-0?
I think it's a possibility. I'm not going to say for certain, but of course that would be something we would all love to achieve.
All right, well, best of luck in your match today. Now it's time to see if TSM starts summer with a victory or if Cloud9 and Jensen get revenge for the finals.
They kill Jensen! Delays Jensen! I feel life too much. I feel high, I feel low.
Disaster for Cloud9.
I've been thinking on my sins for the last 4 blocks. That's 2 Hail Marys and a half one shot. Something tough on myself. Drag my body through the belt and vow to do the most. Leave none for later. Pray for my haters.
Jensen didn't get his Zonias off, didn't get his ultimate off. He goes down in the critical fight.
Where you at? Where you at? Get relentless with it. Where you at? Where you at? Let's get reckless with it. Where you at? How I love it, live it, attack it. I keep coming and I get it. Right now more than ever.
It's those tiny moments in these games that make or break the team.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the North American LCS. My name is David Freak Turley, and casting alongside me for this rematch of our spring finals, Sam Kobe Hartman Kensler.
Whew, so excited. That was actually a hilarious unveiling of the clock. I like how Bjergsen was fully embracing it.
We know that is #1 on League Reddit right now. It's going to stay up there for half the day. Let's start by introducing our lineups for these teams and for this match. On the blue side is TSM Hanser. Sven Skarn, Bjergsen all returning in their respective roles. Doublelift comes back into the bot lane with Biofrost on support and their coach Parth.
And on the red side, it's Cloud9. Up top will be Ray. In the jungle, Contracts. Mid, Jensen. Bottom, Sneaky. Support, Smoothie. And Coach Reaper.
This is going to be a fun one to watch for absolutely. TSM are returning with Doublelift onto the roster. They are reuniting that 2016 summer split, as Pastry asked about, 17-1. Bjergsen hoping maybe it's going to be 18-0 this time.
Yeah, I mean, everybody remembers the outstanding, results that they got with this roster and the amount of hard work that they put in. With the return of Doublelift, though, people need to look past just the laning phase and just these laning stats that you're going to get with Doublelift, because one of the biggest criticisms people had for this team at MSI was the shot calling area, and the lack of proactive plays to finish out games. See if he can have an effect on that. One thing, though, as well with the MSI visit that TSM had, they have had less time a little bit to practice on this new patch. So some people have also some concerns there. Maybe, SKT showing when they got back to Korea. They also had a bit of a slow start after MSI, and similar thing could happen here.
Right. I mean, I talked with Smith yesterday, and he said, I've been practicing with Immortals for a month. TSM was still playing like at MSI a month ago. You're right, that you don't always have the same time. But let's talk about Cloud9, and specifically Jensen. They come into this game with absolutely something to prove. They were one team fight away from being the North American champions and going to MSI like TSM did, and now they're here trying to redeem themselves a bit.
Yeah, definitely an incredibly strong team. They haven't made any meaningful roster moves in the offseason. Ray now is the starter, though. We'll see if C9 can recover from their upset yesterday. I think that may be the main thing, because they were expected to take down CLG, and that might have thrown them off a little bit. Obviously, everybody, including these teams, have been looking very forward to this matchup, this rematch, and may have been looking a little bit too far forward.
Sure, I mean, it is absolutely the marquee matchup of this first week here. I talked with Aframu about 5 minutes ago, and he said that us, meaning CLG, and TSM are the top 2 teams in North America, so we think that they are above Cloud9, and maybe that drops them down a peg, but of course...
They just beat them.
Yeah, exactly. So there's clearly a track record for that, but of course there's always a chance that Cloud9 steps back up today and does take it back to TSM here.
Yeah, I mean, let's not forget, Smoothie was, the all first team support North American LCS for the last split. Their bottom lane has definitely looked strong. And the real questions that everybody's got, around Jensen and stuff, I don't think that that's going to be much of an issue for him. I mean, he's always had the kind of mentality of he wants to take down Bjergsen and he wants
competitor.
to take that spot. And he does not seem phased, as everyone's a little bit worried. Oh,
He's going to tilt.
Yeah, making fun of him for the Zonias. It doesn't seem like it's affecting him. He seems like a very much more resilient player than in the past. Because in the past, and especially when they get to big games like the finals, you have those concerns of, ooh, is he going to reach too far? Is he going to tilt? But in regular season games, he's been just fine.
Absolutely agree. And I remember it was either on The Dive or on With Us At one of your talk shows. You're talking about how Jensen is still the best Echo in North America. And I do agree that you can give him flack for missing one ability press in the last team fight, but he has done so much work for Cloud9 as a player. That track record, why he's still probably their most productive member on the team. Even if you can point out one mistake in one clutch moment, he's done so much more for the squad.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see, as we're waiting for the players to get through one of the last checks here. I'm very curious to see what type of game plan TSM actually come up with to go and attack Cloud9 this time around. Because with Double Lift in the bottom lane, there are far more possibilities, it feels like, for this TSM squad as far as even just pre-planning and champion select and coming into this game, with a game plan to attack Cloud9 compared to their, old roster.
Sure, absolutely. And it's interesting, we heard from Aframo, he talked about the fact that Liquid got a chance to scout CLG. They got to see them play their first match when they played Cloud9. And similarly here, TSM, you're right, while they don't have as much time necessarily to practice, they got to watch Cloud9 play. They got to see how CLG beat them and said, okay, well, if they're going to play like this again, well, we have some tools here. We know what the contract's jungle tier list is. Are we afraid of him playing Kha'Zix there and things like that? Now, that said, as again, I talked with Aframo before and I've talked with Dardoch before as well, they had said that in scrims at TSM, they do not look rusty. That you're right that they haven't played as much on 7.9 plus, but they are certainly still in form from their MSI shape, from all the games they were playing over in Brazil, that this team is ready to go and the players' mechanics are all ready and, Double Lift seems sharp, et cetera as well. He's just coming off the promotion tournament. And I mean, this team should be an explosive match at the very least.
Definitely what we're expecting here. And speaking of explosiveness, actually, with the kind of adjustments in the meta, one of the things with them not really being able to practice as much on the preseason patch due to MSI, supports. Part of the big thing that got CLG their win over Cloud9 was so much playmaking coming from the support role. Aframo himself on the Rakan, on the Bard, these types of champions. Biofrost, we've seen so much of Biofrost on the Karma and the Lulus, long range, pokers, shielders. And I know that Braum is very close to his heart. He loves playmaking with that champion. He likes to be, on the front line. That's his, melee champion of choice for the support role.
Yeah.
But will he branch out?
I mean, he might. I know he had picked up Tom Kench for MSI. He hadn't played it all year and then played it there in the group stage and had an okay time on it already. But yeah, how many Rakan games do you need to make sure that you're ready to go on Rakan? How many times has he played new Bard? The Bard buffs came in time for MSI. It's one of those champions that he should have or could have practiced up to that one, but hasn't been a super prolific Bard player otherwise. But you look at things that Aframo is willing to bring out, those are certainly clearly options for him.
Definitely true. Super excited. Everybody a little bit tense here as this game can kind of set the tone for the entire split as well. As you were talking with all of the other players too, even in just the practices, it's still TSM, Cloud9 projected to be in the top of the North American LCS, and this is your first chance at kind of claiming superiority.
Sure, and I want to bring up Rift Rivals, actually, because these are two of the teams alongside Phoenix One that are heading to Rift Rivals after Week 5 of the North American LCS, shipping over to Europe for a week and hoping to redeem North America for their, to be honest, a bit embarrassing showing at the Midseason Invitational. And TSM is going to be one of those teams, redeeming themselves directly. They'll be playing G2 at some point down that line. Cloud9, though they were one game away from missing MSI, get to go and play something internationally and show if they're a strong team as well. And there's always a part of the storyline to me where it's like, as a North American fan, I just want all the teams to be good so that they can go and beat up Europe in a couple of weeks. And that'll make up for MSI for me right there. And that's something I kind of want to see. And so for all these teams, I want to celebrate all their improvements and all their successes. And TSM's first game of the split, Cloud9 bouncing back from a close match loss yesterday. It's like, I want all these teams to be good for when Week 6 rolls around.
Yeah, definitely hoping for some good games here, some entertaining ones at the very least. So get one more delay though. We want to make sure everything is perfect before heading into the action, because once this one starts, we don't want to have to take a break.
I agree. Yeah, I'm waiting for that 1 minute pause in when we're like, oh, we're ready to go. Just kidding. I think I heard production say something about chair mats a while ago, so something to make sure that the chairs aren't rolling around. I don't know. It is TSM's first match on this stage, this split. Cloud9 probably had been more checked in, ready. They had, of course, played a match yesterday. TSM, sometimes it does take a bit for your first match of the
Or
day.
are the chairs rolling around too much?
Oh, yeah, or too little. Who knows? I don't know which one it's going to be, but yeah. Occasionally you will see things like this where it's the first match of the split, and it's like, oh, yeah, Impact hasn't played yet this year. It's going to take him another 2 minutes when he gets on stage to make sure everything's ready for him. Sometimes that happens, so looks like we are getting the players filtered in. Contracts just said GLHF in the pre-game lobby. All 5 of Cloud9 are here. The first 3 of TSM are as well, so just waiting for Doubleton Biofrost. We should have all 10 players ready to go.
All right, so coming in for Champions Select, what we're expecting, red side, Zach Bans, of course.
Yep.
You definitely respect the ability of both these guys, both junglers and top laners even, to play that champion. I don't see it really getting through any of these ones. Sejuani is another one of the tanks that got reworked.
Yeah.
However, definitely not going to be, ban phase worthy, but I'm still waiting to see, a team come out with, multiple melee champions and actually design a composition kind of around
Right.
Sejuani. The other thing is you also have to take into account the enemy team, though. Don't want too much long range on that side either.
Poke off the passive.
Because she's not, giant AoE stun anymore. But
Yeah, true.
I still think that there is opportunity that we could see her in this split.
I agree. I think she's worthy to be picked. She's a strong enough champion. It's great because I think there are a lot of great options in all of the roles. We have good tank junglers. You mentioned the Zac and even the Sejuani. The fighter junglers obviously still there. The Elise and the Lee Sin, the early game pressure ones. We've got fighters in the top lane with Jarvan and Kled and Fiora. We've got tanks in the top lane with, okay, not Maokai so much right now, but the other the Gragas and the Galleon and whatnot. And there's such a wealth of options. I'm glad. It was weird seeing Piglet early pick a Jhin when he was playing with Liquid early today, because that felt like, okay, he doesn't have to play Jhin anymore. And he's like, no, that's still me. But we saw his Twitch work really well. And I always like when there's lots of different styles in every role, because it means you have 3 types of champions per role for every role to make your own comp with. And that always makes things very exciting because you see very different comps every game.
Yeah, definitely true. Variety, everyone's a pretty big fan. All right, everybody's in the lobby now.
Yes.
So we'll prep this one.
Had a lot of fill for us. We got to talk about League of Legends some more. Thankfully, we got to warm up yesterday. We cast the CLGC9 set, so the synergy's on point. We're ready to cast this one.
The prelude to this one.
Yeah.
It's really interesting to see, how Cloud9 recover from that series versus CLG.
Yeah.
Because, they had a split pushing threat and weren't really able to use split pushing to gain themselves advantage in the game. If again they go for a split push strategy here with Ray, I do expect them, after reviewing yesterday's gameplay, to actually pressure that strategy and use that strategy to gain their advantages and actually use it as their win condition.
Sure.
Because not only have TSM seen the last games on stage, but Cloud9 actually got to run through and look at their own mistakes already.
There's always a chance that they're warmed up because of it. As we saw with CLG, they're able to win their back-to-back matches. Galio banned off the table as well. Clearly, Cloud9 considers this to be an incredibly powerful top laner. They had first picked it back in the series against CLG, and they've been banning it away when they're red side ever since.
Yeah, definitely it has that flex pick threat. You can't move it to the mid lane, and teams have been really early picking it. Even with some of the 1v1 advantage champions still available. So definitely like that ban here. Even with Fiora already banned out by TSM side, they're not going to let that one go through. And it looks like TSM also kind of respecting some of those split push possibilities from Ray, from Cloud9.
Absolutely. And Elise considered to be the best jungler with Zac off the table. Pick rates have said that so far internationally, removing one of the options from Senscar.
And that's so much because of the early playmaking and the importance right now in the jungle of getting off multiple ganks early. And the effect that you can have on the early game on lane phase for your solo laners is really big with Elise. And a lot of junglers been prizing that one fairly high. Lulu actually, to me, is interesting because her win rate plummeted after the nerfs for competitive play. And we've even seen her gone unpicked and unbanned in a couple of series already across the split. But still, she does very similar things, just a little bit less healthy.
Yep, less healthy, less shielding to her teammates, and that's what the situation for her right now. Ooh, early hover on Xayah. Are we gonna see it grab? Do it, Cloud9. Yes, Xayah is in the mix for Sneaky. Always a player who has put lots of champs on, or lots of games on new champs.
Will they have the duo lock-in here, though? Because Cloud9 were the ones who suffered defeat at the hands of Stixxay and Afromood, Xayah, Rakan combo. That was an incredibly fun composition to watch. You know, Orianna ball delivery, constant playmaking from the Rakan. But because there's such delay here, we got another one!
The Vastayan duo is here. Xayah and Rakan. Can Smoothie and Sneaky look as good as Stixxay and Afromood did yesterday? Because certainly they put on a show. It was ban-worthy afterwards. Going to be fun to watch.
We get 100% of the Xayah Rakan duo games free.
Yes. The honor is ours, and I'm happy about it. TSM got to make their own choices. The Lulu's already been grabbed, and it's going to be a Caitlyn for double if down here in the bot lane. So certainly set up to carry, and then the Kennen going to be blind pick for TSM.
All right. So things that we learned so far with the limited competitive games on this duo that we've seen. I fully expect the lane phase, CS to be given away, from this duo lane. Like Xayah Rakan, short range, aren't very strong in lane and getting that control, and especially versus Caitlyn.
It's a door and shield start for Xayah 100% of the time, I feel like. So
for sure. The thing that you have to respect is the kill pressure. Rakan playmaking, Afromood made it very clear that you will not have any time to react to, the ultimate W plays, the ultimate flash W plays. As long as you can get your ultimate channeling before you move in, for your jumps, before your flash plays, it's super long range and super low reaction time for the enemies. So always have to worry about lane kills, even if CS should go the way of the Caitlyn Lulu.
Absolutely. So things to watch for. Jarvan going to be grabbed for likely the top lane out of Cloud9's Ray. One of his signatures, and I've actually seen this matchup played earlier. The LCK played it, and Jarvan versus Kennen, and the Jarvan did pretty well. I think Marin tried to play some AP Kennen, and it didn't work so well. So certainly Cloud9 thinks it's a good matchup into Kennen, the best one available, with really only the Galio and Zac off the table.
Plus, this is one of Ray's most comfortable champions. Huge time he spent on Jarvan. With the buffs to Jarvan's shield on the W, you get a little bit more health, and it's pretty good in the trades versus Kennen as well. Talking about the threat of all-ins. It's the same thing for the duo squad. They're probably going to lose in CS, but they have the kill pressure. Same thing with Jarvan here. The all-in on Kennen, if you can hit your flag and drag, especially as you approach that level 6, jungler pressure is something that Kennen does have to take into account, even though Kennen is such a lane bully and can bully with the added range advantage.
Absolutely.
Early on in the phase.
The final bans come through. Fizzle joins the ban list, as well as the Nunu banned away by Cloud9, so they've got to make some choices there. But they can wait for the mid laner.
Yeah, Cloud9 want to take out some of those core junglers for the protect the AD carry comps.
Yeah.
Nunu Blood Boil would be good, by the way, either on Kennen if he had to join a team fight, which he doesn't really like to do, or the Caitlyn. And if you get low enough cooldown reduction, you can actually keep Blood Boil up on 2 targets. Not for the full duration, but there is an overlap where you can have simultaneous ones going. Regardless, though, those are going to be off the table as far as those real protect the AD carry speedball comps.
I am interested in what the Fizz ban signifies, because you kind of assume that Cloud9's going to early pick their jungler in this round, at least they show right here, and then they're going to last pick mid, and I'm curious what Fizz is supposed to counter.
Definitely they're worried about the Jensen. I mean, you can take a look at the setup so far from Cloud9. It's a lot of early game, a lot of playmaking, a lot of Cloud9's composition depends on them going all in, getting kills, creating those plays. If there was Fizz added to it, maybe it's just one extra assassin they don't want to have to deal with in the mid lane. It also is very threatening to things like Orianna, like Taliyah. Syndra's already been banned out, so not a worry there, but they're kind of covering for Bjergsen to be able to have more map pressure with this Taliyah early.
I actually like what TSM did with the hover, by the way, is they hovered a support for a very long time just to make Cloud9 think about Lulu mid and be like, all right, if they go for this, if they go for next double lift, what do we do here? And then just insta-lock the Taliyah afterwards. There's always a chance you screw people up with that, and just as a really minor meta game point, I love hovering away from the flex you're actually doing. Either by Cassiopeia, the final lock-in here for Cloud9, a team fighter through and through. Cloud9 have lots of, I would say, pretty strong area of effect crowd control with this whole lineup.
Yeah, and they have so much, like we said, kill pressure, right? It's going to be a lot on Contracts. Contracts has actually done, decently well as far as stabilizing games and, farming well. However, him now in the driver's seat. This Lee Sin has the possibility to really sway some of these lanes. Jarvan has kill pressure, Xayah Rakan have kill pressure, and the Cassiopeia versus Taliyah depends so much on the movements of those mid laners, each of them having their own speed buffs is really important as far as the dodging goes for determining the 2v2 possibilities early on.
Totally agree, and keep in mind the nerfs to Lulu were her health and the value of her shield when she puts on either herself or her opponent, so that kill pressure has gone up as of the 7.10-ish changes here on this one. Go to shake hands for the first time of possibly many this split. TSM and Cloud9 certainly no strangers to competition against one another, but we are ready to go into the first game of this match. TSM bringing out the cannon for Hansler. Jarvan, his signature champion for Ray, back in for him. His 4th straight game start for Cloud9 this split. Seen a redemption story after he lost to TSM in the finals, and even they lost to Counter Logic Gaming yesterday. They are certainly a good enough team to do it here. Sneaky Smoothie bringing out Xayah, and Rakan can do just that. Meanwhile, it is Doublelift's first game back on TSM. He had helped resuscitate Liquid for a short time at the end of last split. Certainly still seemed to be a very strong player. And this is the most dominant roster North America's ever seen. 17-1 formerly TSM with these 5 players. Back at it here in their first match of the split.
All right, and look at that. We actually don't even see... oh, we have an extra... No, Ray doesn't go with the Doran shield. I was going to say we have double Doran shields for the extra poking that can come from Kennen. You know, we do see it sometimes in the top lane to deal with those bullying top laners, but says never mind, selling it or unbuying it and going for the corruption potion.
And there's 2 reasons you can kind of think about that. One is, well, as we watch the debate, got to make sure that's going to be fine. Corrupting Potion is more damage, so if Contracts is planning on ganking early off of the fact that Hansler will likely push him, he's got mana to go for the combos and some damage. But also, the laning phase of Jarvan actually requires you to use some mana. Using your shield for some damage mitigation, like the mana gain of Corrupting Potion might just actually offset all of the regen Doran Shield would have given you.
This is an interesting setup here. They've got a little bit of vision. Nothing in the tri-bush.
Yeah, it's not that much. Xayah cannot hard CC at level 1. You can't learn your E, nor can you throw out feathers without learning something else, so not a lot of follow-up there. And out they go.
Yep, just going to be defensive starts and no deep ward for Cloud9. They'll have no information. You know, Olaf can start on Raptors as well as the blue buff, so there is something up in the air here still as far as tracking Svenskeren. Definitely advantage early over to TSM here as they're going to see Contracts leave the Raptors, and they'll know if he goes you know, to that red buff and then try to make his way towards Scuttle Crab if he's running Experience Rune or any sort of top lane shenanigans.
Well, we'll see more of this in a little bit as the knockup comes through. Should be a small trade in the bot lane. I want to make sure this doesn't turn into too much just yet. Actually, pretty good hits back on a Sneaky. Thunderlord's triggered on a Smoothie as well. They're going to kite back at half HP. And as they settle in the laning phase, we got a silent report with Pastry Time, who was talking with, I believe it's Cloud9's coach, Reaper.
Thank you, Fit. Yes, I did catch up with Rupert very briefly. I actually asked him about Ray and Impact, kind of see how they were playing. Impact actually returned late home from Korea, so was just resting. Ray had been playing in the Scream, so that's why they wanted to take him there instead. As far as them swapping out throughout the season, last season, Impact played very well, so he played a lot of the early games, but Ray's been improving, and he says to just see how it goes and based on the strength of the players. Back to you guys for the cast.
Way to stay calm during that level 1 trade, Pastry.
Yeah.
He's unfazed. He knew nobody was going to die. Oh my goodness, though. So many summoners. And we talked about the kill pressure that you can have with Xayah Rakan. Now with no summoners, I expect junglers to really pay attention to this lane. You know, double lift on the Caitlyn. It's very easy to stabilize after that and just try and heal up with your warlords and continue to have that lane control. But you have to keep in mind the timings on these summoner spells. No flashes for anyone except Rakan. Smoothie has all of the power for the playmaking in bottom lane now, you know, if they're able to bring Contracts into the fold.
See if they can make it happen. Early push in for TSM, no surprise here. Gonna try to last out under the turret, missing a little bit. Interesting to see a Spell Thief start for Smoothie, I believe, after he had gone Coin on Rakan in his previous game. A lot of options for viable starts here. Contracts now just seen in the river.
Flash
the
from
ward,
Smoothie.
and he's going to look for the knockup, not going to find it. 90 Net makes it happen. A nice juke by Double, gets away from the Sonic Wave as well. No gank to be had. Flash down for Smoothie.
Oh, and Cloud9's biggest threat in the bottom lane out the window here. Double lift easily able to evade it with just the net. Contracts even was down on going all in for this kill and used his flash very early for the Q. So Cloud9 reduced so much of the early game playmaking with that. Now he doesn't have flash to get out of this.
Ghost pop, level 4 for the move. Under this one, Contracts on a 300 HP. The flash follow for Bjergsen, first blood. unfazed entirely for Svenskar. Now Jensen out of mana, can't keep fighting, has to run away.
What a punish here from TSM. Contracts way over eager, had just blown his flash bottom lane and then goes for an invade into an Olaf, who easily is able to pop Ghost, take that fight 1v1 and absolutely smash. There we go, Smoothie in again. Gonna have to use the shield on his way out.
Generally good reaction from Delaku, a good root as well. He's gonna take him down! Biofrost helps, and the kill comes through in the bot lane. TSM 2-0.
Holy moly, this is going very poorly for Cloud9. They were the ones with so much, possibilities as far as the early game goes, but some big mistakes here, and TSM just absolutely jumping on everyone. Very big punishes. Let's take a look at the side steps here. Double F once again, able to get out of it with the net. Then the turnaround from them and the sly trap.
Oh, he turned and then turned back onto it.
Yeah, exactly. Smoothie with a bit of a mistake there. Whew.
Now TSM, you can see their game one record. That was the joke back from last split, but certainly off to a great start at the beginning of this game one.
And as we're seeing, the expected, CS differential due to the matchup, Kennen abusing the range, pushing Ray under, and getting that CS advantage for himself. He also knows that there is no possibility of the Lee Sin. If you have that kill pressure on Jarvan, only if the jungler hasn't been seen. Only if there's that possibility Lee Sin comes to add to it. So that gave Hanser even more freedom to try and abuse his range discrepancy.
Absolutely. So far, so good for TSM and Hanser and the rest of that squad included. Looks like it's going to be one recall coming out for C9, and I believe bot lane's going to be a freeze. So Doublelift and, Biofrost going to really make C9 regret this decision. They've got to show the wave the rest of the way in, or they're going to lose an entire wave, at least, just for the recall.
Yeah, and they don't have contracts down there to help them push it out. So wave's starting to go back the other way as they CS.
Maybe so. TSM looking for a little bit near the mid lane. Contracts level 5, same level as Sven. Jensen's around. Ulti available on Cassiopeia. Does not get the stun, though. Looking for a bit onto Dalia. Now looking back on Svenskar. And that Olaf going to run out of health pretty rapidly. One more shot will do it. Kill comes through. Jensen gets the trade. Now in the bot lane, Ignite has been used yet again by a Biofrost. Contracts around to keep him safe, and out they go.
Super important for Cloud9 to salvage that mid lane because, Contracts has just died over by the mid lane and giving over that extra assist money to Bjergsen. Now Jensen, he had gotten that level 6. He's done a good job of dodging Bjergsen's abilities thus far. And with the extra kill credit actually going to Jensen, their mid lane hyper AP carry is what Cloud9 are going to put their new hopes on.
There we go. Justice out of ward range now spotted here. Can he find the play? Does not have the ulti contract. Instead, a trinket ward to kill, 10 gold for his trouble.
Yeah, you got to be very careful here for Cloud9 around this bottom lane. Now he's level 6, though, does have the kick available.
No flash. Lands the Q, though. Can he get the ward? Yes, he goes in towards the Lulu, who's got a flash and contracts. He's got no life, though Sven was there because they saw the gank already, the ward, and Sven started coming down.
Exactly. Intelligent reaction from Sven. Even though they clear out the ward and Contracts just waits around for a little while, Sven, last seen area for Contracts in the bottom lane, so he just heads over. Worst case scenario, he wastes a couple seconds and then goes to farm Krugs anyway.
Yeah.
He's there for the counter gank. And I said, you have to be so careful around that bottom lane already. You're just feeding more and more money over to a Caitlyn and just jumping her ahead to the crit builds that are even cheaper than before.
Yep.
And the spike is very dangerous.
And she's very, very strong, so it's going to be a pretty big item lead for Doublelift. He had already gotten a BF recall off earlier. Now it's going to be a pickaxe added onto it, so pretty rich TSM bot laner. Going to feel good.
Yeah, I mean, talk about the re-entry into the team here for Doublelift. Absolutely huge. He's got so much of the advantage on his shoulders. Ray going to take a little bit of damage on the way out. But most of Cloud9's hopes, as we said, are on Jensen now. That's the only area that they've found any success. He does have the extra kill money and farming very decently versus Bjergsen at the moment. Both summoners still available as well, so slight possibility of creating a play there.
Sure. He is the only Cloud9 player with a gold lead. You saw that up a second ago, but TSM as a team up 1,500. Bjergsen getting a blue buff, going to back for more components of his Morellonomicon, and looks good for the defending champions, TSM. There's never been a team that's won spring and then actually won summer in the same year. For some reason, some team always upsets it. This might be the split that curse is broken, and TSM hoping to make it the first time there's been a 3-time consecutive North American champion. every game looks like this one, that's pretty likely. Of course, there's many more to be played. We'll see what happens here as we get back to the laning phase on the bot side. It's always this one. It's been full of pressure. Double Lift, happy to take some fights on a bit. 1v2 knockup's gonna land though on this one. Lulu has the ulti, and Sneaky, you can see how much damage he's taking on that Xayah.
And just look at Double Lift's focus right there. All right, never mind. We'll take a look at this 2v1 at the top.
Stun gonna come in for Hanser, buying himself a bit of time. Ray does have flash and ulti, but of course Hanser having flash as well. The kick flash, that was absolutely perfectly played by Contracts. Hanser gonna choose to save, and almost gets the kill picked up for it, forcing Ray to flash. Hanser held the summoner the whole time.
Oof, very close call right there. Hunter almost able to get a counter kill, but again, the bottom lane is a disaster for Cloud9. Double Lift and Biofrost going to get first turret gold on top of the giant advantage they already have accrued.
And Double Lift and Biofrost have been ganked more than they've gotten ganked so far this game and still get first turret gold. Double Lift has not missed a beat as a player, absolutely slaughtering the bottom lane. 30 minion lead, 1 kill and an assist, and first turret gold.
And here we go.
Oh, it barely caught Jensen. He's got to flash this wall. He will do so, but here comes the wall drop, and he tears it down. Svenskeren, 3 kills.
On top of it, if it wasn't enough already, Infernal Dragon as well. This is an absolute snowball that is out of control now for TSM. I mean, they've even neutralized the one threat that Cloud9 had, taking both of Jensen's summoners in addition to his life and maybe his turret.
And they're going to try for it a little bit here. Bjergsen has teammates in, and again, Double Lift is rich, has 75-ish bonus attack damage here, and going to keep chunking this thing down a half HP so far. C9 not great at defending. The only wave they've really got is Jensen, and it's not an alive champion, so mid-turret will indeed fall. Smart play by TSM to bring the Caitlyn up. He'll lose half a wave in the bot lane because Sneaky's pushing, but that is completely worth it to knock down mid.
Take another look here. Control ward was in the middle, so they saw him
He
early.
thought he might get over.
It was fairly close. If you're over 50% on the other side, he gets nudged further into his own jungle, and he, might not even have to burn any summoners to get away from it. But very close placement and accurate from Bjergsen to be able to secure huge advantages across the map now for TSM. Let's see now how fast they can press, because as I said before, biggest criticisms versus TSM in international play at MSI were how they were not able to end games even when they had those big leads.
Yeah.
Right now, I feel like their main focus is time trial.
Yeah.
How quickly can we actually use this early advantage and finish up the game?
Well, it's a little weird, and so I agree. I think the skill TSM needs to learn is how to close out games efficiently. What was weird is when they had the 17-1 TSM, they were just beating NA teams too fast. They were winning the first 10 minutes so well, they would close out in 25.
One of the fastest teams we had ever seen.
Right, but
this team.
they never had to play 25 to 35 minutes or 35 to 45 minutes. And so when they got to Worlds and Samsung and everyone else with better laning phases, they never played those 30-minute games, and they didn't know how to close those things out properly. And that was actually their real deficit. They almost need to untime trial if you're playing for practice and win close late games.
If you say so, freak.
I know it's a really weird point, but I just remember watching them at Worlds where they could no longer smash lane as hard, and they didn't have the same skill set that they could apply. And I don't know, maybe I'm barking up the wrong tree here, but we'll see if they can continue to be as excellent as they have been before. TSM 2-0 on turrets. Cloud9 gonna get one back here in the bot lane. The TSM still playing aggressively elsewhere on the map, and they are playing sharply. They are still continuing to push leads. Double Lift has been part of every single turret kill. That is by the book, good League of Legends play. When he's got the item lead, you put him where the turrets are and you knock him down.
And again, two aspects to reintegrating Double Lift into this team. We've already seen the great lane phase, the mechanics on display here versus Cloud9. But again, the shot calling that, we saw in a lot of interviews where Bjergsen was talking about it was a very big burden on him. Double Lift, not only did he do great in lane and he's got confidence now, he can go for the aggressive shot calls. He can help direct TSM here to pressing this early advantage. Infernal Drake, 3,500 gold lead, and a lot of map to work with. They're already moving in, putting down the extra vision. He's pressuring the secondary turret, and a red buff steal is very likely.
What's going to happen there? Control even to make sure it's safe. Contract's going to look at the fog of war. Blind Q! Ooh, Case might come through for some, but now it's a bad situation. And Contract's taken down immediately. Jensen on the chase. Ray around as well. The Ghost will time it eventually. Ults on the Double Lift. Nets right back out. And that's an ult for a 18-second cooldown. Seems good for Double Lift.
Yeah, I feel you, Contracts. I got that same jungler feeling. They're stealing my red buff. I need to
Give them more of the red.
I need to contest it, try and get my own red. But yeah, Svenskeren angry about that one. Goes down, gets the kill, and they are able to get out with just the ghost as well. Again, Double Lift. All he needs again is the net, escaping without having to blow summoners. And TSM have so much control right now. This Kennen is very close to that Blade of the Ruined King. You know, he's doing really well and continuing to pressure the Jarvan. He's got a very nice CS lead over him. All that Hauntzer really needs to continue his split pushing is a little bit of extra warding, a little bit of extra vision so that you know, he doesn't go down in the 2v1s. A little bit later in the game, he can actually pull off the 2v1s and fight his way out. But as of right now, hasn't got his items completed and would like a bit more vision to work with.
He can find himself. Ray, speaking of vision, sees Hauntzer.
And it might be a 2v1.
Okay, gets the knockup. Contracts. Ward hops in to land the Q. Good flash by Hauntzer. He needed to do that. He would have likely died otherwise. Flash down, though.
Yeah, look at all the control ward placement from Cloud9 now. Let's discuss how valuable is super deep warding when you're this far behind. Because I'm a much bigger fan of actually, if you're this far behind, using those control wards in your own territory, where you can actually get, you know, defensive vision, and you're looking for more turnaround plays and more defensive plays where your team, you want to be able to collapse on somebody clearing out your control ward or something, rather than the super deep vision that will alert you to what, you know, TSM going into their jungle to farm an area that you have no business going to attack.
Right, and then they get past the river, and you're like, I don't know if they're at our red buff. I don't know if they're diving us in the bot lane. I don't know if they're doing the Drake. And you're right, that you start losing out on what the vision would give you.
Yeah, deep vision is great, you know, when it's close game or when you're ahead especially, but when you're in this big of a hole, I would really consider replacing, you know, even though it costs you money and it feels bad to replace control wards, going for maybe more of a defensive option. We'll see if it does, you know, play out though, because the Drake is coming up. It's a mountain Drake, and they will have a bit more control of that area of the map. Meanwhile, Rift Herald.
Yeah, easy take for TSM right now. They've already knocked down all the 3 outer turrets, so this will make taking down a tier 2 very easy for them. Sven basically doesn't take damage. As we discussed before, Rift Herald is pretty easy to kill as a team. And Svenskeren will carry the duties. This is smart by Cloud9, though. Do the best they can to trade an objective elsewhere on the map. They sussed out well enough that Rift Herald was going down and will trade an objective. Mountain Drake doesn't do much for a losing team. If you don't hit a turret or another Drake ever, you get 0 out of it, but it's something to do. Mid lane now under fire. TSM using Rift Herald right away, and this turret likely to fall as it charges in and deals a whole crap ton of damage. It's going to fall.
Yeah, and it looks like Ray undecided if he was going to join or continue split pushing, and Cloud9 have made the call now to have him walk up. He doesn't have teleport, and TSM rotate up to the secondary turret on top side. There is a teleport for Hauntzer, by the way, but the reason they're sending him back is they haven't seen Ray until just now when he shows on mid lane, so they were covering any possible option that Cloud9 had to get any sort of objective pressure. So they send him back early, you know, clean up that bottom lane, and Hauntzer should be able to get all those minions, no problem.
He's going to walk in, yeah, so that slow push set up by Ray, not going to turn into much, sadly, for C9. Hauntzer going to grab his couple of minion waves, and yeah, at least top lane tier 2 was saved by Cloud9 making that rotation earlier. 5,000 gold difference. Second Mountain Drake will spawn in about 5 minutes. Baron's going to spawn in 2, and TSM continue to play pressure. And as you had said earlier, Kobe, speed running, maybe the name of the game, time trials, actually, sorry, was the term you used. And we'll see what TSM's first time trial is going to result in here, as they certainly have had a commanding lead from minute 3.
Yeah, and man, when we talked about the scaling of the Caitlyn, Double Lift already 18 minutes is looking at completing his first Zeal item. I mean, yeah, the multiplication here with your Infinity Edge already completed so early. You know, cost reductions as well as early kills going over to him. He's going to be ready to team fight very quickly here.
Yeah, it comes online faster.
I am a bit curious to see if we'll see more static shifts, because, you know, we saw that yesterday, and we were a bit curious as far as the nerfs for Hurricane haven't come in yet. Yeah, and already we'd seen people going static shift, but maybe Double Lift sticks with the old Hurricane as it, you know, helps you stack those headshots quicker still.
The double dagger means it's Hurricane or Phantom Dancer for sure. It's
the
Shiv. But hold on, fight on the Svenskeren. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Soon he chase down. The Ghost is on. One more shot. Jensen gets the kill. And the Flash Charm is in. Look at the beautiful plays. And Sneaky gets a shut down as well. Cloud9 do fire back in the mid game.
Oh, that playmaking again with the Lee Sin and the Rakan. Flashes both used, and Cloud9 took a very needed step to gain some gold back for the team. Even though Doublelift still was pushing on top side, and TSM still get an objective during the trade.
That's the difficulty. We want Jensen make this play again. Of course, the trade for 2 kills is pretty close in total gold.
And again, Cloud9 want any sort of trades, right? They want any sort of gold back into this, as TSM were already working on that turret, and we're already going to get some gold. So this is definitely a worthwhile play for Cloud9, and taking their opportunities to get that playmaking done. The problem now is that they don't have flashes on their big CC abilities, their big playmaking players. So
Yeah,
the next play is going to be much more difficult.
exactly. It was 2 flashes on the big playmakers you mentioned that are down, and 2 kills with nothing else for it. For a turret is almost equal gold change, so it's almost arguably TSM won out in that trade. Like, of course, trading gold back and forth lets you get your items, but the game state is actually arguably better for TSM than it was a minute ago. Now there's 2 flashes down, and the gold state about the same. Doublelift Hurricane completed, building towards his next Zeal item. You were mentioning going rapid fire cannon and Shiv. There's a couple of different changes, and as I mentioned that again, there might be a fight. Contract sees an opponent, and he's going to go for a little bit of damage there and kite back out. But
Yeah, the build paths are going to change as well, aren't they?
the build paths are...
Or those reverted?
No, there's no real build path differences. Hurricane no longer has a recurve bow in it, but it's still 2 daggers. So it's pretty much the same. But yeah, basically, Static Shiv and Rapid Fire Cannon got buffed in terms of what they provide. Fire Cannon stacks faster, and it will stack your Warlord's Bloodlust faster. So you get to kite like really, really well, and that feels really good on those kind of champions. I'd expect Sneaky to buy one, for example, for a similar reason. And Hurricane lost its single target damage bonus, but it is actually better teamfight AoE, so you can sometimes make more of a choice around, am I hitting more than one target? If I'm not, there's no gain to Hurricane at all.
Yeah, specifically for Caitlyn.
And of course, she has the headshot bonus as well in this patch.
All right, let's see how TSM actually choose to pressure. We talked about, using their early lead. They've done a good job thus far. We're only 21 minutes into the game. They've already got control wards on Baron. They have Haunter split pushing. These are the boxes that you want to check. Cloud9, though, getting right in there, clearing out both those control wards.
Okay.
As TSM went for, looked like they just were clearing out their own jungle here with Doublelift doing Gromp. And 3 control ward kills is actually decent if you're this far behind and you are worried about the push and pull with a split pusher on bottom and Baron being threatened. I think this does buy Cloud9 a little bit of more safety, even though they're in a pretty big hole.
Sure, absolutely. Talk about scaling a little bit. Because Cloud9 do have 3 melee champions, they've got some real tank stats on the squad. Of course, fighter build Kennen, not that tanky. Sven's somewhat durable, to be fair, with all this. But what I really want to look at is the fact that if Sneaky's not under a lot of pressure, Xayah has insane damage output if she has the uptime and the safety to auto-attack. And Olaf is one of the less threatening frontliners that I feel like Sneaky's actually going to be pretty reliably able to get a lot of attacks out. He's got a gold deficit for sure on a Doublelift, but theoretically, if you have the time, you do more damage than a Caitlyn.
Yeah, he's really just got to worry about, charging Olaf, of course, but, the possibilities. Are TSM actually going to call in the Kennen for one of those flanking team fights? They'd really like to get most of their advantages, as we said, out of him creating that split push pressure, drawing them back between those 2 objectives of control wards on Baron. Oh, it's dark. And, Haunter constantly pressuring that turret on bottom side. The Drake should add more pressure to their Baron threat, by the way, and the possibility of them actually just burning it down. So this is a pretty bad Drake spawn for Cloud9, and TSM are actually very happy about that Mountain Drake this late into the game.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll see if they can keep using that Kennen split push pressure. And we'll see if they can make this work out for him. It's always, or almost always, been lane pressure on TSM's favor this game.
Interesting choice that they've actually made to have Doublelift on the bottom, and they're getting punished for this choice. Doublelift was farming on that bottom side, walking up now.
That early Mountain Drake gets him about 20% faster, and Ray goes in to stop him, and it's going to make it stop. Well played. The Baron is picked up in a rush by Cloud9. Ray losing his life for the cause, but that is worth it in so many ways.
What a sacrifice. Ray gives up his life for the team to be able to get a comeback play, and TSM misappropriate their lanes. It was supposed to be Haunter with his teleport in bottom side, Doublelift, the 80 carry shows, and immediately Cloud9 punished. Really good shot calling right there. They knew they were in a hole, and they had to make some big play to get back here. TSM, give them the opening.
Yeah, absolutely wonderful stuff right there. Every misplay, there must be a good play to capitalize on it. That's what happened here. But TSM 5v4 for 12 seconds. Ray's still dead. Despite a Baron buff, should be able to push. A wall cuts off Jensen. He can't join this fight for the turret. Not taking too much damage just yet. They're pushing him back, Cloud9. Contracts wants to go for the play. Gets a sizable kick up. Looks in for more. The charm is there. The feathers as well. One picked up with double is down, and that's the gold lead evaporated. Is he going? Ray's back in the fight. He doesn't have an ulti, though. He can't really join easily. He might EQ the wall and look for more.
Yeah, Hanser actually canceled his teleport in this one where Ray kept it going, and Cloud9 strike back here. Again, the Baron buff, in turret defense is really underestimated. Buffing up those minions for your defense on your turret as well. They're able to keep the turret standing, plus get that counter engage. Contracts just going bowling here, hits all three of them.
That was insane. Absolutely insane by Contracts. And now there's the counterattack. So a high-tempo game once again. Since the Baron take action, and action. Cloud under the mid lane, finally going to get their second turret of this situation here. Sven now pushed out of his own jungle to off that Baron. And a 1-for-1 in kills long-term. Cloud9 back in this one. Less than 2,000 gold separates them.
Xayah plus Rakan, level 5, Deadly Plumage goes off with a Baron buff. That turret is almost instantly gone. And man, they are right back into this one. TSM again. The mid game really bites them here. All right, let's take another look at Contracts. Huge playmaking, goes in, gets his angle even after the Lulu ultimate there. Hits his flash for the triple knockup, and Smoothie capitalizes on it immediately, taking down Doublelift, the big Fed member that Caitlyn here, core in the comp. This outstanding playmaking, which is the big strength that we kept saying, was C9's hope, their possibility for getting back into this one. That, again, though, Contracts and Smoothie, now no flashes for the second one. Big thing is they have a lot more gold to work with, though.
Yes, they do, and it's going to be items coming in a bit sooner. Armor Pen coming out for a sneaky, interesting choice, actually, to go for that one. It'll help him kill Sven, but not going to help against much else on the team. But he's going for tank busting to make sure he can kill off the front line.
And again, I like that, right? Because you talked about Olaf is the one, he pretty much just charges straight at your AD carry.
Yeah.
And tries to mitigate damage by posing threat to your AD carry to reduce their auto attacks. If you can kill him easier, bring him down easier, and it really is a big breaking point. Here we go, though, C9 keeping up the pressure.
See if they can find much here. Onto the top lane and turret they go. 12 seconds left on the Baron buff. It'll time out soon. This is their last wave. And TSM's threat was enough to buy several hundred health back on the turret as Cloud9 stopped going for it. Baron's going to time out, and that's one of the best Baron power plays we've seen so far this split. Absolutely. Cloud9 got back into this game.
It's actually insane because, first of all, you get a lot more out of the Baron power plays when there's more turrets standing. So them being behind, sometimes you'll see big Baron power plays from those teams, but they also got that Baron with only giving up 1 kill. Usually the team that's behind that sneaks that Baron has to give up a tremendous amount for it. But C9, due to Ray's sacrifice, very honorable play for him. They earned themselves a very big opening back into this game and continue to pressure secondary turret.
Now it seems like Ray's aware the honor's getting reworked. The honorable play, he's going to get extra loot boxes as a result. It's going to be
interesting.
It is.
And we'll get to see, can TSM, Hanser still in the 1v1, has that extra pressure. The Frozen Malice being worked on, not quite done yet. That would add a lot of pressure to his 1v1 and his threat with Jarvan, because Jarvan's EQ combo is actually very easy to dodge with Kennen. So in that 1v1, it's very easy for Kennen to punish the Jarvan if Jarvan goes for the big play and messes up. So you really have to take that into account if TSM are able to keep Hanser in the side wave and creating that pressure. The second part of the plan for TSM, keeps Doublelift safe. Contracts goes in for some harassment.
Here's a plan going for Sven's company within a half HP. Quick root, look at the damage. Oh, they nearly took down Contracts. Looking for a little more. Smoothie not going to find it. Has to jump right back out to his beloved. Jumps away back towards Sneaky. All out they go.
Pretty big damage there from Doublelift. And some fancy moves, extra speed.
Looking for the Hail Mary, putting the wall across, make sure that they can't come down. It's great control so far for TSM.
Yeah, really, really good wall here from Bjergsen. Will they be able to burn the Drake anyway, though? Doesn't look like with.
Gonna pull in Ray on the front line. Contract's gonna look for a steal. He can, not gonna get it to happen, and it's gonna be double Mountain Drake for TSM. Sven secures it.
Slim margins here. TSM now need to get back into position to defend. Cloud9 are ahead of them in the race to mid lane, and Jensen, ultimate available on Cassiopeia, is very threatening.
And in the mid lane, they'll look at the inside track for C9. Jensen just kind of zoning them out, and Sven is too afraid to go through the choke point. He's gonna try now, but the turret's already gone. And he wasted kind of a lot of time sitting there in that choke. Now going back through the slow, but no chance to make that chase happen. And out goes C9 with a great pickup, trading mid lane tier 2 for Mountain Drake.
All right. So many of the outer defenses down now, and not too many wards still standing. So I have to see about the last item slots here being filled up with control wards. And who can really get that pocket of Fog of War to actually work with. Level 6 teams are coming through on the solo laners now. So the flanks are a possibility. You know, the spot engages. Flashes are back up for Cloud9, and that playmaking potential is still very real.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to be so cautious about what can happen here. Cloud9, a deadly dance here, honestly, with what Smoothie and else can do. Looking for the plays. So far, just a bit of zoning, not too much else. But still, Cloud9, you can know they feel like the team now with a bit of the lead. They're ones trying to play for Baron control, but TSM actually shove in mid first, which gives them priority on going that way if they want to. Instead, they're going to play around double if Lulu to haste him up. Nice auto attack damage. Chunk out of Jensen.
Yeah, double
Ray on the bot side, though.
Has completed his rapid fire cannon, so he's going for those long hot shots to get that harassment down. Let's see about Ray's pressure. There's no teleport on Hunter, remember, so he's going back without any way of rejoining.
They don't see him, so he's going to be able to recall safely.
All right, now Ray could turn it into a 4v5, but Talia's behind Ray. Bjergsen is going
getting
for him.
flanked. It's a 2v1 on the bot side, and Ray's going to flash into the base and try to run for dear life. Gets stunned up, though.
Frozen Mallet, he can't go
Thousand health.
anywhere.
He can't get away from this one. Hanser is going to win the 1v1. Oh, the toe off the wall. Hanser, though, still on the chase. He's going to take down his prey. It's almost a guarantee. But in the meantime, Cloud9 fighting for more. They know Talia's far, and they know that Kennen was as well. Smoothie rooted up inside the Baron pit, takes almost his entire health bar down, and TSM make the best of that situation.
Yeah, huge advantage for TSM now. Not only is Ray dead, but Smoothie, the playmaker, is very low on HP, so TSM have all the cards to force this Baron.
And they're going to try for it right now. Missing one. Cloud9 have 4. He's going to stay around with his low health bar. Pops Redemption to stay a little bit healthier. And there's a staging area, 4v5. Bjergsen goes for some poke, bit of damage on Contracts. Will not get a root or a knockback, but there's the charm in. They don't get the root on a Jensen. Out goes Smoothie. He is gone 1 for 0. And Bjergsen, I should say, stayed alive long enough. 3v5 now. Ray respawns in 7 seconds. No wards in the pit.
Ray has teleport though. He's going to go behind them.
Wards.
It's going to be too late. 2,000 health.
And they waited it out. Now Contract still has flash, though. Can he get over the wall? He's not going to get the chance to do so. Well played by Sven. Shakes it down. At about 970 health. TSM with the Baron.
Ooh, and Ray also ended up starting his teleport. So the cancel on his teleport now means they don't even have that advantage to work with. TSM are able to hold strong. That collapse, Bjergsen going down bottom to pinch Ray was so big for them.
Yeah.
Because that was their only way out of this teleport disadvantage. Hanser could not rejoin the Baron area. TSM play their way out of it though.
Really smartly played, and that's some good navigation by TSM. It was a hard situation. They navigated it exactly right. The rest of the team did not get engaged upon. Hanser back on split push duty. Teleport up in about 1 minute's time. TSM take away some of the wards to make sure that his split push is safe. He's not going to get flanked. TSM can regroup the 4 back towards mid afterward. And the battle for wards is still ongoing, but this turret will fall in 3 auto attacks. Or 4, and they'll reset one more time.
All right. All of C9's outer turrets are done. Will TSM be able to crack the inhibitor line? They've got Hanser teleport advantage very, very soon. I'm not sure if they actually saw Ray's teleport cancel, or if he was able to cancel it quick enough that they did not get that vision and don't know they have the teleport advantage. Regardless though, the plan stays the same. You need to keep that Kennen split pushing pressure on the top side and have the 4-man squad push up. Looks like they're trying to gain their vision deep into the jungle first here and get some of those wards down.
Let's see what they got going for themselves. TSM pushing into the top jungle now, and they're keeping all 5 together. They're not willing to look for that 5v4 flank.
They're letting the minion wave push on its own while they take over the jungle here, but mid lane is absorbed by Jensen. Top lane's the only one they really have to work with again.
Here we go, gonna cut off the team yet again. Smoothie not gonna be a part of this fight here, and they're gonna go for that turret. And it looks like a 3v5, so no chance at all for C9 to defend just yet. Jensen on the other side of it as well. And now that falls. The re-engage, at least C9 have 5. Bjergsen waiting in the wings still, looking for poke from across the wall. No C9 wards have seen him, to my knowledge.
Doublelift wants to be able to get his auto attacks onto the inhibitor, but he's so scared of the long range engage.
Elder Dragon's up, if TSM want it. Not gonna do that just yet. Still more attacks onto this inhibitor. It will fall. C9 not gonna pull the trigger. They will give up the inhibitor and play for something else. And this means that there is a 4-stack Elder Dragon available to TSM.
It's Contracts might just rush out to the Scuttle Crab here. A Scuttle Crab pick would be very, very important to be able to get you vision for that Elder Dragon. The problem is, it's so scary to know the timing of TSM getting back out here, so they're just gonna rush it down and try and get Scuttle Crab before TSM get here, so they have guaranteed vision.
Yeah, even then though, it's such a high chance that TSM simply take the Elder Dragon anyway. And all Cloud9 can do is watch and be a little bit sad about the fact that another global is being taken away from them.
I mean, they can still go for a play
10
on them.
seconds longer. They can try, certainly. TSM, of course, just reset with a 4,000 gold lead. They are the stronger champions. But yes, a fight might be in the works for Cloud9. Their best chance of winning is making a fight go well. Top lane pushing into the base soon enough. C9 gonna start out on the Dragon. Gonna zone out with Jensen. Haunter on the other side of this one. 8,000 health on the Elder Dragon. Gonna reset slightly. Then it's gonna be Ray finding Haunter. Forcing the flash out. That is Kennen now a bit farther out of the fight. Contracts at 2/3. Again, the attempt to push out TSM. It is Cloud9 mostly attacking this one. A big root on a raid down to 2/3 HP. Redemption to heal, keep him a bit healthier. And they're gonna find Haunter. They're gonna take him down right away. 1-for-0. Into the back lane goes Contracts. And he dies while Haunter got picked off. 3,000 health on the Baron. No jungler, no smite, no chance to steal it away. Cloud9 not gonna make it happen. And it's gonna be Elder Dragon and TSM.
We gotta see the replay of the top side of that play because Ray gets another good initiation onto Haunter after he'd already forced the flash, and Cloud9 all turn on that, except Contracts goes in on the other 4-man squad. Not quite sure if they made the call for him to run interference or if he was just on his own mission there, but it's gonna be disastrous and lose C9 not only the Elder Dragon, but also mid-inhibitor.
Gonna knock this inhibitor down without much issue. 5v4, no jungler alive. TSM will continue to play it slow and steady. They will cash in their advantage one more time. They clear out the jungle and go for the recall.
All right, let's take a look and see if this was miscommunication, not being on the same page. This is the first one where they go the flash, by the way. Now, here's the important one, number 2. There is a trap line right here. He has to work around.
I think he cues Doublelift and says, I got this.
Okay.
He hit Bjergsen
He hit Bjergsen, and he goes for it at the same time.
Oh, that's a huge mistake.
That was just, yeah, huge tunnel vision here. Contracts not on the same page as Ray picked off Haunter and Cloud9. Feel the burn.
Unlucky there, because that would have been, I think, for sure, team to victory C9. Contract still has the threat of a kick flash, and oof. In those moments, little things. Elder Dragon Pit seem to be Cloud9's bane against TSM now.
Yeah, and it's so much better to turn on the one person when you've got a 4-1 split and Haunter no flash is trying to flank you. Even if you do have the options of turning to either side. All right, no use living in the past though. Cloud9 need to refocus because they only have one inhibitor left standing, and it's an Elder Dragon TSM coming for it.
Let's see what they can do with this one. Elder Dragon still on. Baron back up in a minute. There are consistently things that TSM can fight over every minute's time, and with the team with the gold lead, it makes it pretty easy to keep doing that. Another wall to cut off some of the enforcements, and it's going to force a ward hop out of Contracts, and it nearly did pick down Jensen. That half-court shot nearly landing there on this one, but he's going to stay alive. And here we go, waiting for the wave to come in, and here comes the siege. Elder Dragon still alive with double Mountain Drake. He does a ton of turret damage, and Double can chunk this down fast. With a rapid-fire cannon, it would be several hundred damage per auto, but playing safely. That one with backdoor bonus. Slowly but surely looking for the play. Ray flashes in, can't find it though. A big knockup, pops the stone plate, but rooted up. Takes a ton of damage on that one. Contact force to flash, get away from Sven. Scar, and the kill comes through the root. Makes it happen. The Cupcake takes down Smoothie. Desserts for days. And Sneaky force to kite away. Gonna get the root, gonna get the pick off. Actually, it's Bjergsen who overstepped this time around. Jensen, the duel on double up the ulti to get the stun. And a lot of damage comes through. Sneaky tries to save it around. Hanser getting some damage out in the back line as well. But can Sneaky get any damage? The health bars are low, but there's no chase to be had. 2 picked off of TSM, but 3 lost for Cloud9.
Ooh, a slight overdive there from TSM to give away some of their members. Regardless, though, the damage is done. Cloud9's base is in shambles. And TSM just have to return to the Baron, and they can finish out the game with that purple buff.
So one of the weaknesses of Xayah, her chasing is not as good. You figure a Tristana or something actually gets the resets there, but this fight was close.
Yeah, let's take another look at this, because TSM get a really good kill onto Smoothie later when he steps on his trap. Doublelift already putting out a lot of damage back onto Ray, but then Smoothie on the trap gets 2 shots. And here's the chase, a little bit of an overdive with Sven and Bjergsen flashing in onto the Xayah that still has ult and into the Cassiopeia ultimate. Oof, they got punished, but as we said, it doesn't really matter. TSM should be able to pick up the Baron and use that to finish up the base.
Yep, and they get it with all 5. The 3 remaining members walked to the Baron pit and then waited till Doublelift could wear this Baron buff. And you saw what this game looked like. We talked about it being a time trial for TSM for the first 20 minutes. Cloud9 almost mounted the comeback, and then...
Yeah, they put a stop to that quickly.
A 30-minute mark. And that, again, was what I wanted to see TSM tested on, is post-30, can they navigate the game? And at least that last quarter of the gold graph does say, okay, TSM have learned to play their late game a little bit better now this time around. Doublelift pretty much full power at this point. Nothing else to buy in the inventory. He is full up. And here they go for the bot lane siege once again. An open inhibitor and an open Nexus, actually. The Nexus turret did actually fall, even though the teammates of C9 were inside the base. They didn't tweet out enough things in time, and it's an open Nexus now.
All right, C9 need to be ready to pull this trigger. Time is not working in their favor with all the minions that Hanser is pushing up in the top side. TSM are using their Kennen split pusher effectively here. Talia Wall even buys Hanser more time. They're just using it so he gets a free alone time here with the inhibitor.
With the GA for tons of extra attack damage, the Phantom Dancer, he's got plenty of output. Not quite going to kill off Jensen, who pops Ghost to look for the play and not going to get the kill.
But that reduces the amount of threat Cloud9 have on the bottom side.
He gets a little bit of poke. Contracts hurt a bit as well. Bjergsen going back and forth. This will be the inhibitor picked up. Ray cannot find Double playing his ranges well enough. Doublelift staying outside of the EQ combos. Contracts 1 hit away from gone, and Hans are going to look for some auto attacks here in this one. Shields by a bit of time. Yeah. Low health bars on Cloud9. Smoothie getting hit as well. Forced to kite away. Nearly dies to a crit one more time. Ray can't find it. No charge to be had. Smoothie dropped at the start. And it's a 2-for-0 already. TSM now, all is left to do is a child's play of knocking down the Nexus, and they do so. 1-0 TSM defending their championship.
Biofrost there, able to get that wild growth to interrupt Ray and give Doublelift the added protection, just walking it in to finish up this Nexus. TSM coming out very strong in game number 1, despite the misstep in the mid-game with their lane assignments, allowing the opening for a possibility of a Cloud9 comeback. And
sure,
Cloud9 did show some signs of life with a very good shot call to go for that one opening that was exposed for them, to go for that Baron. They rushed it down, Ray with the sacrifice, and they did keep it interesting there. But yeah, TSM look impressive.
They do look impressive. I think interesting is the right way to describe this game. So many interesting things did happen. So many very close margins as well. Cloud9 had the option with Smoothie's flash to try to break open the bot lane, and we just missed the knockup. It was Doublelift who was able to net out of the way in time, and there was the catch on Hanser in the Elder Dragon pit where Contracts makes the wrong choice to go for something else, right? And the good and the bad was happening, you know, on both sides this game. As it came out, TSM was the better team right now, and they took game 1, but now we're going to throw it down to Dash and Mark to see what they make of that TSM win.
Thank you very much, Freak. Our rematch of the spring finals here starts off with a game victory for TSM. Doublelift back in the lineup, and hey, the way things started in this game, it looked like things were back to normal, and they were, they were where they left off last summer. Of course, we did see C9 making some moves to get back into the game, but let's really dive into that first 15 minutes, because I thought it looked rather clean from TSM.
And there's a couple points I want to hit on with the impact of Doublelift coming back into TSM, and I don't want to go totally crazy, like, oh my god, Doublelift's the savior. The rest of TSM played well, but I want to get into the specifics of what he does for the team. So one, he's a lot more aggressive of a laner than Turtle. So you end up in situations where you're forcing so much action down the bot lane that the enemy wants to capitalize. You're getting into these all-in trades aggressively. Great play by Biofrost. They're in sync on trying to finish off Sneaky. Now that both flashes are down, Contracts wants to go down there and punish this. And the fact that they're able to not only pull the jungler down here, they survived this gank attempt, which is huge. Great.
Without their flashes.
Right.
This was after they aggressively flashed forward.
So they almost get caught out here. Good footwork out of Doublelift, just barely living here. This entire time, Haunter is crushing down the top side. Sven's playing around the jungle in the bot side now that, Contracts lost his flash. He gets a free kill out of that, and then they keep playing aggressive in the bot lane. They pick up their own 2v2 double kill. So Doublelift being in this team pulls the enemy jungler attention, gets Sven his own advantages, as well as capitalizing on their own playmaking in the bot lane. So it's a huge impact on what he does. And when you start looking at the broader picture, traditionally, you're playing around topside a lot more in the spring split. So when you're in that Jarvan-Kennen matchup, they're trying to gank assist for that Kennen, shut him down. Instead, he's alone on the top side. Haunter can just play free laning, and that's exactly what Kennen wants to do. So that's a huge advantage for them. And then on top of the fact that Sven is a player who sometimes goes for bad invades, I think we all know this, but without improving his decision-making, just having stronger laning on the bot side means that those risky invades are just safer. Without being smarter about how they're playing the game, it is suddenly more successful.
Right, we saw ourselves at MSI and even throughout last split, criticizing Sven for random red buff invades and looking for those kinds of aggressive moves. Well, guess what? When you're playing Caitlyn Lulu, winning your lane and able to rotate to help that jungler out, all of a sudden all those invade choices are no longer bad choices. Still the same decision, but it's got the support behind it. Also, too, beyond that, of course, we see that with those leads early, created in the early game, TSM just knows what to do, and it seems that, through that mid-game, 11 minutes in, we have smart plays from the Taliyah, securing early kills here, really pushing their advantages and extending that lead even more.
Right, it comes off the back of a blue buff invade. We know TSM loves to do this, but they have the priority in the bot and mid lane right now. Jensen takes a slightly risky path, good team coordination to cut him off there, and then they start snowballing off the mid jungle, and the top side just left alone this entire time, pulled one gank, survived it. In the meantime, he has a huge CS lead.
First 15 minutes look fantastic for TSM. However, it is not all sunshine and roses. There were some missteps, and there were some great steps from C9 to kind of stab back into it. The big one I want to take a look at is 22 minutes into the game. This is after C9 secures a Baron from Doublelift, farming in the bot lane, but a huge engage here from Contracts, pulling the trigger in the 5v4.
Yep, able to find a great angle here, connecting Bjergsen onto Doublelift, sets up Smoothie to follow up with the Rakan. Great team synergy, getting that kind of chain CC down and blowing Doublelift up right away. So what you're talking about a little bit, maybe still a little unfamiliar with Doublelift in the competitive setting, out of position initially to give up that Baron buff. And from there, C9 actually had a chance to get back into this game before a slight misplay out of Contracts a little bit later in the game gave up that Elder Dragon.
Yeah, over in that Elder Dragon kind of handing the game back, but I think that really what that replay is meant to do is showcase that, wow, hey, TSM already does perhaps look better than they were in Spring Split and at MSI. They aren't necessarily back to summer finals, form with Doublelift and 17-1 run. They did pick up the necessary victory here. Moving on to game 2, my question to you is, what do you want to see out of this Cloud9 squad? Because they sustained a loss yesterday. Here they are, risking going 0-2 in their opening week, being the second place team from Spring.
It's a little surprising because I think like the Lulu Caitlyn is not quite as dominant as we saw in MSI and things like that with the addition of the Doran shield. So you would think that hopefully your bot lane can play a little safer. They got really outlaned this game. That's where a lot of the pressure came from. If you're just going more even in that lane and you are able to get the Lee Sin up to the top side with the Jarvan and shut down that Ken, and this game can look completely different. I don't necessarily hate the draft. I think they just need to work on stacking up better in the actual laning phase, because come late game, it was really, really close with C9's decision-making.
Absolutely. Player of the game this time around going to Doublelift. Okay, he slots back in game 1, pulls
First
the
game
POG.
back,
Yeah, I mean, hey, you got to hand it to him again. The amount of allowances that he gives the team and what he does in terms of, yes, creating the advantages, but then what that does in terms of confidence boost, the ease of shot calling, and removing some of those duties from Bjergsen's shoulders really seems to open the map up. Hey, we've got a carry in the top lane, winning CS by himself. Bjergsen's pushing the lane in, consistently, and now Sven has the support he needs to be a successful jungler here.
Yeah, and I think you saw there the 40% damage. It's not like, oh, Doublelift played great in the early game, but he doesn't know what to do anymore in the mid and late game because he's out of practice. He still crushed in team fights and was a huge factor in why they were able to consistently kind of win some of these late game skirmishes against C9. And I think it's the kind of thing where Caitlyn is the perfect pick for him to kind of ease back in. So maybe you look at taking that away. But like I said, with the changes with the Doran shield, it's a little hard to say that you should really target that bot lane.
All right, what about pick ban, though? Because we're looking at that top lane and we're saying, all right, Kennen had full control of that lane from start to finish without much jungler intervention at all. And then on the flip side, we have a ton of jungle bans going through. And even though Contracts is on a playmaking champion like Lee Sin, and we saw a couple times mechanical prowess that can net them kills, they aren't creating early leads.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the scary thing now that we've seen Ray a handful of times up in the top lane, not actually being able to generate a lot of his own advantages when that's kind of what you're hoping for when you're giving him these counter picks. So that is a little concerning, but I'm not sure what you can do about it because it's not like you can suddenly, oh, we'll just draft him something different. That'll go better.
Yeah.
Ideally, like I said, you can get Contracts up there to get him a little bit more involved. It does feel like they're leaving him more on an island, hoping he turns some plays for himself. But he's clearly struggling to do that. So whether that means Jensen on Talia as well, maybe you can get him up to the top side. There's different ways you can give him more resources. Unfortunately, this game, everything got pulled down to that bot side.
TSM grabs game 1. We'll see if C9 can respond here in game 2. That game comes up after the break. Stay with us.
He doesn't have flash to get out of this. Goes pop, level 4 for the move. And this one Contract on a 300 HP. The flash follow from Bjergsen, first blood. Oh, it barely caught Jensen. He's got to flash this wall. He will do so, but here comes the wall drop, and he tears it down.
You go here? Yo, look, clear. I don't have W, no W. Clear. Nice. Push me.
They're pushing him back, Cloud9. Oh, Contract wants to go for the play, gets a sizable kick up. Looks in for more. The charm is there. The feathers as well.
Carefully. No, me, you guys. Look at Lee. Kai. Okay, kill Lee and run. Kill Lee and run. Look at top. They don't have charm. No spite. Finish it.
Ray can't find it. No charm to be had. Smoothie dropped at the start. And it's a 2-0 already. TSM now. All is left to do is the child's play of knocking down the next, and they do so.